Hi and welcome to the lesson Country Picking. In this lesson I'll be trying to give you some insights into my playing and the way I approach what I refer to as country picking. Now obviously I won't be able to cover all the techniques, but I am going to try to cover the main ones. Mainly we're talking about hybrid picking, chicken picking, slides, double stops, hammer-ons and pull-offs, etc. Now before we move on, let me explain the way I see chicken picking and what is chicken picking. Chicken picking is a very particular sound of playing. It's a very unique style of playing and you cannot mistake it for something else. Now if you try to break down chicken picking into several components, I guess you can break it down into three components. The first component will be the mute. The second component will be the regular strokes of the strings. The third component will be the pop. Now let me demonstrate what I mean. The mute obviously is just the string being muted. The regular strokes is your regular playing, and the pop is the popping of the string. Obviously you can do this with your fingers or with your pick, with the fingers and the pick, it doesn't really matter. Let me give you a demonstration of what it sounds like and then you'll be able to understand it better. Alright, so let's look at the first exercise. Firstly, we're going to place our third finger on the fourth string on the G note, 5th fret. And then what we're going to do is we're going to subdivide the bar, firstly to quarters, then to 8 notes, then triplets, and then 16 notes. Now what you want to do first is get a steady rhythm going with the quarters. So just downstrokes and go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that you have that going, we're going to add in the 8 notes. So I'm going to use, on the downbeat, I'm going to use the downstroke with my pick, and then on the offbeat, I'm going to use my middle finger of the right hand. It's going to look something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, as you can see there, I have a wide dynamic range with my second finger. I can make it pop. I can play it a little softer, you choose. But I think when you first start with this exercise, try to make sort of a leveled volume for both the pick and the middle finger. Something along the lines of this. 2, 3, and. And then when you feel comfortable with that, try to make it a little bit different dynamic-wise. Alright, so just play with the dynamic range of it. The next thing to do will be to take it and do the same thing, except you want to mute one and sound the other one. Now you're going to alternate between the downbeat and the offbeat. So let's start off when I mute the downbeat and sound the offbeat with my middle finger. It's going to be something like this. 1, 2, 3, and. Now I'm going to do exactly the opposite. I'm going to sound the downbeat and then mute the offbeat. It's going to be something like this. 1, 2, 3, and. Now the cool thing about this is that you can choose whether you play the downbeat with the pick or you play the downbeat with the middle finger. You can achieve different tones and dynamics with it. Okay, so let's continue with the triplets. Before we move on, we just have to get used to the triplet feel. In order to do that, we'll count off 1, 2, 3, 4, and then sing 1, 2, 3 on each quarter to get used to the triplet feel. It will be something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So if you're not already used to that, I suggest that you do that. It will help you a lot with time, etc. So let's have a look at the exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you have to get used to that feel. Now again, you should be practicing this, obviously maybe with a metronome or something, or a drum machine, but you should also work on the dynamic range. For instance, you can play it loud and soft. 1, 2, 3, 4. Etc. etc. And lastly, you want to be able to mute and unmute with the dynamics exercise you did before, like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. On just random places on the rhythm. Alright, let's continue with the 16th notes. Before we get started, you want to get used to that subdivision. So what you want to do is you want to maybe tap or sing the subdivision on a count. So it will be something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another thing you can do is you can take, for example, like they do in conical, you can take a syllable and relate it to a note on the subdivision. It will be something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Takadimi, 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 takadimi. It's a way to make the subdivision more friendly and musical than just counting off numbers. So I suggest you check it out anyway. It's called conical. So let's take a look at the exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, like we did before, practice this with different dynamics: mute, unmute, soft, loud, etc. Let me show you an example of how you should practice this once you have the basic concept down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so before we move on to the big phrases, let's look at another basic technique for the double stops and just using your ring and middle finger to get that sound. Let's take, for example, a G chord, and then we'll play the bass with the pick and then pluck the 4th and 3rd string with our middle and ring finger. And let's do it with 8 notes on a count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Of course, you can do this with every chord. Let's take an A, for example. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, for this next double stop exercises, we're going to use triads, mainly a D triad and a C triad. We'll start off with the high D triad over here, going down to the C, back to the D, into the C, again a D, C, and a C, and then back up. Now we're going to do 8 notes, and we're going to play the 4th string and then pluck the 3rd and 2nd with our middle and ring finger. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and. Alright, so the next step with the double stops would to take the same triads and add either a picked note on the 4th string or add a pluck on the 3rd and 2nd strings. Let me show you what I mean. The first pattern will go like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what I've done there is basically just play twice on the 4th string, 2 downs, and then pluck the 3rd and 2nd string. And so on and so forth. Alright, so let's look at the variation of that exercise. We can do once on the 4th string and then twice on the 3rd and 2nd strings. We'll go something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so let's have a look at the main riff that all the phrases are going to be played on. The riff goes something like this. Let me slow it down for you. Okay, sort of a G chord going into an F, and then a little fill, and then back to the G. Now I sometimes play this G like this. Bass and the 4th and 3rd string. I either use my finger, my 2nd or 3rd finger, or my thumb on the left. Alright, so let's have a look at the first phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so on to the second phrase. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so let's take a look at the third phrase.